Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the JKWD podcast, where we have some children's games ready for you today. We're thinking about connecting some dots. But first, you might remember our friend Peter Snowert was on some episode in the last few months. I could have looked that up before I started talking, but I didn't. We were on his show. What's on Your Mind? It came out Friday. As we're recording, that's this morning. But as you're listening to this, if you get it the day it came out, it's a few days ago. And if you're listening sometime in the future, that would be episode 92 of What's on Your Mind, back on May 28th, 2021. So when you're hearing this, in 2047 or whenever it is.
He's from Belgium,
He's from Belgium.
Now, to understand the relevance of that comment, you'd have to listen to our podcast when we interviewed him. But
now, what you didn't get to hear in the episode that we did, well, even in the episode that we were on with Peter, and you can find that on YouTube. We'll stick the YouTube video in the show notes for this episode. But Kelvin found out that we were actually recording video as we were signing on, and so he was putting back up his green screen, and I think while you were gone, I don't think you were around for us to hear. And I asked if we were recording. I think we recorded on like April 2nd or something,
somewhere in there.
So I asked if they had an April Fool's Day tradition. So because if we had recorded yesterday, one of us would have bought ringgoldconstruction.com and there would have been a website up.
Wonderful stuff. Maybe we're working that out. Oh my goodness. Hey, Mr. Shear.
What's up?
How y'all doing?
I'm good. Yeah. Yeah.
The audience doesn't get the benefit of this, but since we have actually been, it's 12:10 now, and we've been online since 10:30. Someday we just need to go back and pick clips out of the stuff we've done, but that's so much work.
Yeah. And frankly, some of it probably not worth listening to again.
Oh, I can't even believe that you'd say that. I mean, everything we talk about is so germane to everything daily.
If you say so. We're brought to you today by Vitamin K Daily. Way to change the subject, Josh. Wake up Monday through Friday to a reminder how awesome your day is going to be. Get yourself 4 weeks free at vitaminkdaily.com. After that, just $24.95 a year. If it turns out it's not for you, just cancel before your 4 weeks are up. You won't get charged 1 red cent. vitaminkdaily.com. Let's do the show.
Josh and Kelvin World Domination Podcast, where we talk about better humanhood and teach you how to dominate your world. You ready? Here we go.
So we were kicking around a couple ideas before recording, and we were like, well, we have to record because we don't have anything coming out, and there's nothing all queued up, and then you said something like, I just have to connect the dots that I've already put there. Like, okay, well, that's our show. Here we go.
You see what happens when you talk?
So, yeah, elaborate on that a little bit.
Oh, sure. Start with me. Just because it was my idea, just because I said it, sure, stick me with that. But actually,
Explain what you meant. Yes.
I've been doing a lot of things for a long time. I've been podcasting. I'm a photographer. I'm a Toastmaster. I'm all kinds of stuff. I've got podcasts. I've got websites, and I have all these disjointed ventures, which in and of themselves are kind of cool, but compete with each other with in mental space and resources. And the thing is, everything I do fits together, but I've never taken the time to actually systematize it, to give everything a place so that what I've got is a smooth functioning system versus a couple of things I do here and there. And for that, I believe I have suffered.
Okay, so let's break that down a little bit, because I think when you say it's disjointed, I think you used that word, right?
I did use that word, yes.
Okay. I didn't put that in your mouth. I think
I don't let you put nothing in my mouth.
Well,
your hands are too big. Forget it.
I've been known to use a word or two that I thought I was attributing to you that you sometimes point out that you didn't say, that I interpreted something you said. So I wanted to make sure that I used the word you said.
Yes.
Okay. If I may, and I always preface this when I'm asking you to, when I'm challenging you to do something when we're not on the podcast, I always tell you it's out of love. But right now, I'm just going to take what you said and put it in a greater picture, because I think it's in a couple of different realms, right? The stuff's a little, you understand in your, probably more in your heart, how they all connect.
Yes.
And you haven't made the connections in your brain, and you haven't made your presence, like your public presence, combine them all together either.
Correct.
Right. So I think that the latter is easy, because a centralized website that links out to all the other sites connects things, but then you have to make sense of it so that other people understand how they're all connected. And if you understand how they're all connected, then you'll be good at explaining to other people how they're all connected.
Yeah.
You follow, or is it just my 14 cups of coffee talking to myself?
Well, I'm only on 7, but yeah.
Yeah. I realized that, when we first started talking, I was starting my 3rd cup of coffee, and I was really sluggish and really slow. And I just poured my 4th cup of coffee, and all of a sudden I feel like talking, and I hear words coming out of my mouth.
A live microphone will do that to you.
I want to make sure that I'm making sense to somebody other than me, because I know that happens a lot.
It does, but it's okay. You normally come out the other end doing all right, and I learned something. Am challenged.
Your brand is intensely positive.
It is.
Okay. Good. I got that correct. Your podcast, other than this one, and we talk about better humanhood, and often we talk about positive mindset, fits that brand, but
yes,
is mildly tangential, because you have a creative partner in this one. Then you have Vitamin K Daily, which is a positive newsletter.
Absolutely.
You have your own podcast called Intensely Positive Podcast.
I do.
Okay, so those all very much make sense together. Now, your coaching is mindset coaching. you talk about mindset on your podcast. We talk about mindset here.
Mhm.
It is not at all astray from your other stuff.
Nope.
And the only thing that doesn't seem to fit in sometimes is your photography, but I understand how this connects in your heart, because the whole purpose of your photography, apart from paying the rent sometimes, is see yourself through my eyes.
You have a good memory, Mister.
Right. It's the idea is not let me take pictures of you because you need or want portraits. It's you are not necessarily you being the general you, the client, not you,
Right.
Kelvin.
Mhm.
You are not necessarily the best judge of how you come across to others.
True.
And so your job as the photographer is to reflect back that person's, your client's beauty and strength and positive mindset out into the world,
Yes,
projecting that to other people.
exactly.
To get that about right. So I tried to just sum that all up for you.
That was pretty good.
Connect some dots. Cool. Okay. So now hopefully we got a listener who can just whip together a business plan that incorporates that and comes up with a website and decides to donate it to you, and we're good there. But if not,
I'm happy to share royalties if they make it really good.
if not, then at least we have an audio notebook for you. Now, where else in our lives do we do things that are seemingly disparate, but really we just haven't connected the dots?
Yes, sir.
Where else
in our lives?
I think about
Probably everything.
I think about health a lot, right?
Mhm.
So health is not just fitness, it's your food and your sleep and washing your hands and general hygiene and
Getting your COVID shots and
meditation, and there's so many pieces to it.
Yeah. That was
So
good.
that's another place where maybe we don't connect the dots. At the gym, we always said you can never out-train a bad diet. If you're eating 4,000 calories a day, you really need to be running 50 miles a day to lose weight on that.
And hopefully not eating while you're doing it. So,
Right. Well, like I said, if you're eating 4,000 calories a day, you need to run 50 miles to take care of it. The end. It's no if you're doing something else.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Man, how do you conceive of 4,000 calories? Good grief.
It's actually easier than you think if you grab. I think it's very easy to grab a 2,000 calorie meal without understanding that that's what you're doing. It's hard to make yourself a 2,000 calorie meal from what's in your kitchen, but it's very easy to run to a fast food restaurant or even not a fast food restaurant and order a dish or two that will get you most of the way to 3,000, 4,000 calories as one meal.
Scary concept.
Well, it is and it isn't. Everything.
Well, not if you run 4,000 calories.
everything has its place, right?
Mhm.
If you run a marathon, sitting down to a 2,000 calorie meal, probably not a bad thing to do. Sitting down to 3 of them, probably a bad thing to do.
Yeah. And somehow I don't see me, all my illustriousness doing a marathon. Just not seeing it. But it could happen.
It could. Well, like you were saying before, you only have 89 years left. So
That's right. So I mean, yeah. I may shock you next year.
hey, Josh,
Yeah.
I'm signed up for this thing. You want to do it with me? Well, I guess I don't have a choice, do I? All right.
There you go. So yeah, connecting those dots. So with all the stuff that you're doing, and we just talked about my stuff.
Yeah.
And my stuff, at first, until you do something like you just did with me with the dots, looks like several random things. But for you, what dots don't you have connected with your stuff? Or do you?
I think I have my dots connected, but I don't have very many dots.
Mm.
Right. So I'm looking to fill in the dots rather than connect them.
Mhm.
Yeah. Or, basically add a dot here, draw a line to it, add a dot there, draw another line to it. So I'm adding on connected dots rather than connecting existing dots.
What is it they call that chart?
I don't know what you're referring to, so I can't.
Oh man, mind map.
Okay.
A mind map. Yeah. You're doing.
So basically, I've got this podcast that I do with you, and I'm working on a book that uses a similar concept to this podcast. We say in the intro to the podcast that we talk about better humanhood and dominating your world, and the book's about better humanhood. And I've specifically narrowed down 3 aspects for the book: happiness, empathy, and creativity, not necessarily in that order.
Mm-hmm.
I am planning a podcast for 2022 focusing on creativity, which is a piece of that book. So they are additional dots that are already connected to the things that I already have out there rather than connecting existing dots. That makes sense?
Got it.
And then I'm hoping that if that podcast picks up steam and I enjoy doing it, that for 2023, maybe we'll focus on happiness, and then we'll go from there. Where we'll pick a different aspect of better humanhood, and then let it grow from there. But I think we're both connecting dots. We're just doing it in different ways. You've got, say, 5, 6 dots already out there, and now we just got to connect them all to each other. And I have a dot, and then I'm adding another dot that's already connected to it, and I'm adding another dot that's connected to those, and another dot on top of that. So eventually we both have 6, 7, 8 dots that are all connected. And I think that you and I both have the things that you do and the things that I do that are connected in their heart, even though they're, again, very disparate and have very different angles to them.
Yes. And yours tend to be a bit more cerebral.
Yeah. And yours tend to be more from the heart. I always tell my wife that she's the heart of this operation on the brains. And that's probably true for us as well.
Yeah.
I do
remain the brain.
I do a lot of the thinking. You do a lot of the feeling.
That's true. I've been wondering what the connection was all these years, and now in this one simple podcast, we just structured that right out.
There we go.
That worked. Shoot.
Everything's solved. We just solved the mystery of the universe,
Yeah.
Kelvin. What did it take us? 15 minutes?
Was it that? Well, yeah. Let me see. What time did we start here? We started that at 12:07, and it's now.
You said something about
12:10.
Yeah.
20 minutes. Well, there it is. What else is there?
Hey, cool. So mysteries in the universe solved. You heard it right here. And
so now people just have to learn to connect.
Everybody can just stop doing what they're doing because it's all set, right?
Well, they got to figure out what their dots are.
Our work is not done here.
No, hopefully that's going to lead to a lot of coaching. Figuring out what the dots are. And that's, I think, a problem that a lot of us have anyway. We don't know what our dots are. There's a lot of people who don't know really what they're passionate about. They don't know what they love. They don't know what makes them tick.
Right. And some of that, I think, is because people wait for it to hit them, and that's not usually how that works. Usually you try something out and see if it hits you, and if it doesn't hit you, you go try something else out. And you have to foster that passion and make it work for you, and make you work for it too. That's a symbiotic thing. You can be passionate about playing the cello, but if you're not actually learning the techniques, you're not doing anything for the world of cello.
Yeah. Which lends itself to an awful lot of the what we used to call the trophy generation. When we give every kid a trophy because they showed up.
Yeah.
And I can't, say we, who's we really. But there's a lot of people who haven't gotten the message that passion fuels.
Right. And you have to work on it.
So I got lots of passion. I fuel a lot. I
keep it in this cardboard box right here on my desk.
Yeah. So that connecting the dots thing, I might be able to get that done this afternoon. Well, part of it,
Well, you can actually draw out the map. I just got
to play back the recording.
That's right. We talked it out.
That's it. So connecting the dots, that's it. What are your dots?
And what would you like your dots to be if you don't have any dots, or you're thinking about building some? Just think about how they all connect so that you can work toward, if not a singularity of purpose, a singularity of vision, and be able to encompass them all together, right? You look at somebody like, you look like somebody like Elon Musk, right? He's doing solar panels and battery walls and electric cars and rocket ships and drilling tunnels under cities.
Trips to Mars and such.
Right.
Yeah, all that stuff.
But it all comes together in a singularity of vision, right? He's changing the way that energy and transportation work. And whether we wind up building colonies on Mars, or whether he winds up taking people to a space station or a space hotel in rocket ships, they were selling the battery walls and solar panels separately, but I think now if you want the solar panels, you have to buy the battery wall. So you can actually store any excess energy that you're taking in from the sun.
Mhm.
And if you have an electric car, that's a closed system.
I was just talking to a friend of mine this morning who is into creating sustainable communities, who's talking about that and using that technology you just spoke about.
Oh, yeah?
And he's very passionate about what he's doing there. And, get off the grid and do your own stuff. And, and partially also, when you've had the concepts about, growing food in your community and feeding the community, that type of thing too. So he's very, very passionate about that.
If that person is not familiar with Jim Rutt and Game B, introduce that.
I will certainly do that.
There is a solid community Jim Rutt is helping to build and pull together.
Mm-hmm.
And there are good discussions going on in that space.
Sweet. All right. Look at me learning something else here in the morning. Gosh, I like hanging out with you.
All righty. Well, dots connected, passions created. VitaminKDaily.com. Get yourself 4 weeks free. Maybe you'll find your passion in there somewhere, or at least some motivation to kickstart your passion, especially when you get that thing at 3:30 on Monday morning, because we were all getting up at 3:45 Monday morning to get our morning walk in, right? So.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely happening. JKWDpodcast.com for show notes for this, including a video with us and Peter. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Show notes and more at jkwdpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends. And we will see you next week. Bye.
A Better Humanhood production.